What happens when a goat tests a livestock guardian dog? Most people think a livestock guardian dog proves itself when something attacks, but that's not when the job actually gets tested. The real test happens before that. It happens when a goat pushes a boundary, when it gets curious, when it moves where it shouldn't, when it does something small that most people would ignore. Because when a goat tests a guardian dog, that dog's reaction tells you everything, and sometimes the most important reaction is no reaction at all. If you watch goats long enough, you'll notice something. They don't just wander randomly. They test, they step closer, they pause, they look, they push just a little farther. Sometimes it's toward a fence, sometimes toward a gap, sometimes toward an edge of the pasture. And when that happens, most owners watch the dog. They expect movement, they expect barking, they expect correction. But instead, the dog does nothing. And that's where people get uncomfortable. They think, why isn't the dog doing anything? Is he paying attention? Does he even care? But what looks like nothing is usually something very specific. Here's the part most people don't understand. Goats don't test dogs the way predators do. They test pressure. They test where the safe zones are, where resistance exists, where they're allowed to be. A goat stepping toward a boundary isn't challenging the dog, it's asking a question. Can I be here? And a good guardian dog doesn't answer that question with chaos. It answers with presence. This is where things flip. A well-developed guardian dog doesn't need to react loudly. It doesn't need to chase. It doesn't need to bark. It doesn't need to move dramatically because the goat already feels the pressure. The dog's body position, the dog's stillness, the dog's awareness, that's enough. The goat pauses. It hesitates. It turns back. Not because it was scared, but because the boundary was clear. That's control. Control doesn't look exciting. Now, let's talk about the opposite. A dog that isn't confident. A dog that doesn't understand its role. A dog that's still operating like a pet. That dog reacts. It chases, it lunges, it barks, it creates movement. And when that happens, the goat learns something dangerous. It learns boundaries. Boundaries are loud. Pressure is inconsistent. Chaos replaces structure. That's how goats get stressed. That's how injuries happen. That's how dogs lose respect. A dog that overreacts teaches instability. A dog that stays calm teaches order. This is where most people accidentally ruin good dogs. They praise reaction. They say, good dog. Look how protective. See, he's working. But what they're really rewarding is insecurity. They're teaching the dog, loose control and you'll get approval. Meanwhile, the quiet dog, the still dog, the one doing nothing, gets overlooked. But that quiet dog is the one keeping the system stable. When a goat tests a good guardian dog, something subtle happens. The dog might shift its weight, adjust its head, look its focus for a moment. No movement, no noise, no drama. But the goat feels it, and the goat responds. That's communication without conflict. That's leadership. And leadership doesn't need volume. Here's the part that really matters. Predators watch goats too. They watch how animals move. They watch how they cluster, how they react to pressure. A herd that respects quiet pressure is predictable in a good way. A herd that lives in chaos is readable in a bad way. When a guardian dog can control goats without reacting, it's showing the same control it will use against predators before anything ever happens. Most people wait for a dramatic moment to judge their dog, an attack, a chase, a loud night. But by then, the test already happened. The real test was earlier, when the goat stepped forward, when the dog stayed calm, when nothing happened. That's where you learn if your guardian dog is real. So the next time you see a goat push a boundary and your guardian dog does nothing, don't rush to assume failure. Watch closer, because sometimes when a goat tests a guardian dog, the dog passes by staying still completely, and that's exactly why everything stays safe. Goats are not dumb animals. They're pattern learners. They remember which pressure is real, which reactions are empty, which dogs actually control space. When a goat tests a boundary and nothing chaotic happens, it doesn't feel confused, it feels clarity. It learns this area is controlled. Pushing further doesn't change anything. That's how stability forms. But when goats get different reactions every time, chasing one moment, ignoring the next, they keep testing because inconsistency invites pressure. A guardian dog that stays calm teaches goats where not to push without ever touching them. Anyone can react. Reaction is instinct. Stillness is discipline. For a guardian dog, staying calm while an animal moves, nudges, or challenges space takes confidence. It means the dog trusts its position, understands authority, and doesn't need to prove anything. That's why young or insecure dogs struggle here. They feel like they have to do something, but experienced guardian dogs know something better. If you control space, you don't need to control movement. This is where owners should really pay attention. A dog that handles goat testing calmly will usually handle predators earlier, react later but more decisively, and avoid unnecessary conflict. A dog that panics over goats will panic over pressure, and panic always leads to mistakes. So when you watch these small moments, a goat stepping forward, a dog doing nothing, you're not just seeing the present, you're seeing how the dog will behave when it actually matters. Real guardian dogs don't perform. They don't entertain. They don't posture. They don't react for approval. They hold ground. They let animals make decisions. And they make sure those decisions don't go too far. So when people ask, why didn't your dog do anything? The real answer is simple. Because it didn't need to. And that's the whole point.